Today I lost $770, which is far more than 3 times more than my daily max, so you'd think that today's discipline score should have been terrible. But the strange thing is that I'm not sure it was. While I absolutely violated my daily loss rule, I also recognized that by 9:30 I was chasing losses and, for once, successfully walked away before getting desperate and things becoming much, much worse. The old version of me would have allowed that desperation to take over, and honestly came close this morning as well. But this time I didn't act on that impulse. Looking back on the day, yes, I'm disappointed in the result, but also strangely proud of the decisions that were made at the end. At 9:53 this morning, after fully exiting and starting my scoring process, I quickly realized that the 5 categories from Friday's video were just too broad. If this score is to become anything over time, I need categories that separate the psychology from the process. More importantly, I need a way to learn from the data so I can actually improve based on the specific results. Therefore, I've expanded the system into 10 different categories. Wait 30 minutes, position sizing, position count, options control, stop loss control, maximum daily loss control, average down discipline, chase or revenge trading, single name focus, and walk away discipline. I'm sure the scorecard will continue to evolve over time, but these 10 feel much closer to what I was really hoping to build from the beginning. Using these categories, today's discipline score comes in at a 6.0, which is considerably better than what I would have guessed after a loss of 770, but still well below the 7.2 I gave myself last Thursday and so desperately wanted to beat after spending the entire 3-day weekend thinking about discipline. My trading day started reasonably enough. My first trade was at 8:55 this morning when I went long 25 shares of Amazon. Not quite 30 minutes after the open, but certainly better than some of my recent efforts. With that position open, I quickly found myself short 25 shares of Tesla. That position quickly doubled to 50 shares and almost immediately stopped out after adding. Less than 10 minutes after entering my first trade, I found myself more than $100 down in realized losses. By 9:07 this morning, I was long 50 shares of Amazon, long 50 shares of Google, and while a Tesla put option was helping recover some of the earlier losses, my unrealized losses were now approaching $225. Shortly after 9:15, my Google stops triggered, putting me right around my daily maximum loss of $250. At that point, I was starting to think it was time to start slowing down, but I didn't. Instead, I started chasing. Not aggressively like I would have in the past, but chasing nonetheless. More importantly, I started getting mentally tired and was beginning to realize more and more that this day was just not going to finish green. Around this time, my thoughts also shifted from how to recover those losses to what today's discipline score might look like and how I would be summarizing the day in this video. Yet by 9:40 this morning, I still found myself holding 4 concurrent positions: Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Tesla, despite already being well beyond where I should have stopped for the day. From there, things deteriorated even farther. Microsoft stopped out again, and then so did Tesla. Amazon and Google were still underwater and going nowhere. At that point, my combined realized and unrealized losses were approaching $500, and knew that not only would they end the day in the red, but also that I was now fully responsible for breaking at least 2 of my rules. That's when something really interesting happened. By 9:50, I said out loud, "It's over. Just realize the remaining losses for the day and be done." And for probably the first time in forever, I actually listened to myself. I closed the remaining 2 positions and just walked away. Honestly, after closing out, the very first thing I thought about was my son and the conversation we had had a few days earlier when he told me that my videos were all starting to sound the same because I wasn't following my rules. I knew he'd be disappointed that I was about to record yet another day where I hadn't quote unquote done better. And honestly, so was I. I was disappointed that I didn't stop 20 minutes earlier. I was disappointed that I lost more than 3 times my maximum daily loss. I was disappointed because much of this could have been avoided had I simply followed the rules I already knew and were in place. But for the first time, I wasn't proud because I made money. I was proud because I finally stopped digging. I realized that that's not enough. Not even close. A $770 loss is not acceptable. The process was sloppy. Some rules were broken. And none of that gets excused simply because I eventually stopped. But hidden inside a bad trading day was one small improvement that I genuinely believe matters. For years, my biggest losses haven't come from being wrong. They've come from refusing to accept that I was wrong. Today, for the first time in a very long time, I accepted that. At 9:50, I knew the day was over. I knew I had broken my rules. I knew I wasn't trading well. And instead of trying to force more comeback trades, I was able to close everything and walk away. That's a small win for today and a big win going forward. It's not a financial win, it's a discipline win. Tomorrow, the goal remains exactly the same. Reach day one of consistency and continue to follow my rules 100%. I'll see you after tomorrow's close.